Hi, my name's Simon Clark, and I've just recently been released from hospital with having had the coronavirus. I think, I think I'm very lucky, and I know I'm very lucky. I got a mild case, and I want to describe what a mild case is to you in a bit, and to help you understand why this social isolation is so important. I want to say a big shout out to start off with all the friends, family, Facebook friends, anyone else who got in touch. Um, their support was awesome. But this video isn't about me. I'm no doctor, I'm no medic, I'm just someone who's gone through this, and I want to give you some hints and tips. I want to try and work out who I got this from, when I got it. Um, some hints and tips about when to call an ambulance, when you need to, when you perhaps don't need to. Obviously, you make your own decisions on that. But also what happens afterwards, um, and things that you can do for you, things that you can do for your family now. Um, so I have arthritis in both hips. I'm generally in quite a bit of pain, and I take quite strong cocodamols. Cocodamol is basically codeine and paracetamol. And as you probably know, if you have a bit of a fever, paracetamol will lower your temperature. Uh, because I take these tablets 5 or 6 a day, it artificially lowered my temperature. So when I eventually went to hospital, they said, "Have you had a fever?" I said, "No, I've not had a fever. Slight temperature, yeah." No. These tablets were masking it. So if you know anyone who is on constant, sort of painkillers, especially the sort of paracetamol based, other tablets might affect them as well. I don't know. Then watch out for that. Watch out for any changes in them, any sort of temperature changes. While I was in hospital, my daughter came round to my house to do some tidying for me while I was out of the area, and to pack a bag of some clothes, which I'll come back on to in a minute. Pardon me. Um, and she said, she walked in, it's like an oven. She said, "Your house is absolutely roasting." I didn't notice because the tablets were keeping my temperature down. So again, especially people living on their own, friends, relatives, anyone, keep your eye on them because they can't keep their eye on themselves. That's one of the issues. Excuse me a second. I was in work a week last Monday, and I think I'd already got it by then, and I might have even had it for a week. I'm not too sure. Of an evening, I got home late from work, so I just have a microwave meal, and I noticed for about the week before that I wasn't finishing them. I always finish it. I'm a big guy, I always finish my dinner, and I just wasn't finishing them. Didn't think anything about it. Um, so you've got reduction in appetite, temperatures coming on that you don't notice, and other things have started to change. And that's, I think I'd already got it week last Monday. We had a cleaning day at work, so we didn't go into work on the Tuesday, which I thought was quite good because I didn't feel so good. Didn't feel really ill, just didn't feel good. It's not a cold, it's not a flu, it's not anything. And there's a bit of a cough. I chatted to my daughter about this. She lives with a boyfriend in another house. And she said, "Oh no, well, I've looked on the 111 website, and it says like it's a new cough, it's a continuous cough." I wasn't having that, so I thought, well, I don't know. Pardon me. I don't know what it could be. But the Wednesday, I was a bit worse. Thursday, I was certainly starting to struggle. Thursday, by the Thursday, I think it was that Tuesday, that cleaning day Tuesday when we weren't actually at work. When the government turned around and went, right, everyone just stop work. Just go home, stay inside your home, don't go out. And again, that's something else I want to come back onto in a minute, and there's the reasons why. So fortunately, I've not been in contact with too many people at work, and that was only on the Monday. And I think they're all right so far, touch wood. Although if anything was going to come out, it would have come out. Right. Friday, I was really rough. That's when I started to notice I was struggling to breathe. you end up with like a tightness on your chest. This is me, well, by the way. Tightness on your chest, and you can't seem to breathe in more than about a quarter lungful. So you're panting, you're gasping. You might not always notice it so much in yourself. And again, if someone in your family starts doing that, two things you need to do. One, make a note of it. Secondly, start thinking about isolating them from you and the rest of the family. It might be nothing. It might be nothing. Hopefully it is nothing. But if it is, if you can keep the virus to just them, and not the rest of you catch it, or your husband, wife, whatever. If they can avoid catching it, that's really good. Otherwise, you're both in it. The Sunday decisions are becoming difficult. Now, I'm ex-forces. I'm quite happy to make decisions in my life. I'm quite happy to get on with whatever I need to get on with. And I was struggling. It got to the point on the Sunday where I nearly had to phone my daughter and say help, because I couldn't make a decision. Your brain requires so much oxygen to function properly, and you get to the point where you're not functioning properly. And perhaps on the Sunday, that was the time I needed to go into hospital, really. If we go in too soon, we just fill up all the beds. And the hospitals spend a lot of time and effort looking after people that if you don't need to be there then, it wastes so much time. Monday morning came around and I felt really rough. I sat up on the side of my bed and I have a chair I lean on to stand up, and I was just hanging onto the chair, hanging onto the bed, and I just couldn't breathe. I really couldn't breathe. I couldn't recover my breath. I was just panting. I just picked my phone up and dialed 999. I walked past the bag on the stairs, which when I did scuba diving, I used the scuba diving bag, and I thought I could throw some clothes in there. And that's as far as that decision went. I'd have had to go back upstairs to get clothes. No way I was going up. Anything downstairs, I just need to get downstairs. Struggling to literally survive. That's the point I was up to. Now, as much as you'd want to help your partner if they were in a similar situation, you don't want to go near them. Seriously, if they're going to collapse, you might have to go and help them, but you've just opened yourself up to the virus. Hopefully, you didn't have it up to that point, but So I got downstairs. It took about 2.5 hours for the ambulance to turn up. Paramedic came in, did some tests on me. He says, right, he said, go and phone up, because the process is they take all the details, they speak to a doctor back at the hospital, or your own GP, and they make the decision whether you need to be taken in there and then or not. They were sat outside my house for 2 hours. 2 hours to get to me. 2 hours sat outside my house. 1 ambulance, 2 crew. 1 will come to see you, 1 stays in the front to drive. So 1's the contaminated one, 1's the clean one. And then took me up to the hospital. We had to sit there for about 20 minutes, half an hour. The NHS have got these superb procedures in place where 1 patient in a wheelchair or trolley and 1 paramedic will go into the hospital. They go down this corridor into a side ward, and just there's 4 beds in this particular ward where they assess you. But basically, everyone keeps out your way, and then when they've come back out and they've gone, the next ambulance can offload. Just in case the person who's taken in has got something different. I mean, they're still hospitals, although I think certainly Preston Fulwood Hospital, thank you very much, guys. They have 2 entrances, I think. If it's COVID, it's 1 entrance, the one obviously I went in, and the ordinary accident emergencies go through the other way. When the crew's finished with me, they now have to go and decontaminate the back of the ambulance. That's a 2-hour clean. So if someone isn't ill enough at that point to go to hospital, maybe another half a day, maybe another day or so, then you can waste 6 hours of an ambulance and crew. They're needed. They can certainly do with a quicker way of cleaning the ambulances, but you know, these guys are doing the absolute best that they can. Like I say, I didn't take anything with me. I just wasn't with it. I remember being dragged into the hospital. I'm on a wheelchair. I've got my walking stick with me, and basically, I've just got my hands on my walking stick, and my head's just down. My eyes are closed, and I'm just trying to concentrate on breathing. I'm just trying to concentrate and still being alive. All right. So these people want to go to the park. You want to go socialise. You want to go and do whatever. That's the condition you end up in, and it's the condition you end up putting your friends in, your family, and your kids in. Is that what you want? Anyway, on the assessment ward, super efficient. Within half an hour, you know, I'd had bloods taken, I'd had gases taken, you know, every measurement that pardon me, that the medical staff can take, they'd take, and because these rooms tend to fill up and then get emptied and then fill up and get emptied. So they said, right, we'll do your chest x-ray to see what's going off in your lungs. And next thing you know, this portable thing comes in. He gets a chest x-ray, he gets a chest x-ray. Guy next to me has a chest x-ray, and I have one. But all the while, you've got staff that are inside the room, and they've got the mask and the gloves and the aprons on. And then you've got people outside the room waiting for them. So if they say, oh, we need to do a set of bloods, they'll go and get the stuff, hand it into them. Because every time the medical staff leave the room, and I get this right, the gloves off and apron off, sort of roll it all together, put it in a bin, go to the sink, wash their hands. As they walk out the door, they take the mask off and put it in a bin. Every single time. So, I'll come on to that in a bit. So rather than having to do that for every little thing that you need to go and get, you got runners effectively outside that are getting all this stuff for them. One of the big things that the ambulance staff mentioned, the assessment people mentioned, and those on the wards mentioned, is because they are, even though they're minimising where they have these runners, how many times they're going out of the room. You know, if someone bringing in the coffees or, you know, brews in the afternoon, they get fully kitted out. They'll ask people what they want. They'll get the drinks for the person at the door and bring them in, and then they have to wash up and go. So even though doing that, they're still washing their hands every sort of 5 minutes, and they're getting rough and sore hands. Now, if you want to do something for all this medical staff, what I thought about yesterday, which I think would be absolutely awesome to do, is try to get onto the ward some decent hand cream, not just cheap hand cream, and not one of these tubs that you sort of scoop your fingers in. It'll need to be a pump or, you know, some way that they can have a quality hand moisturiser at the end of the day when their hands are sore, because, you know, you dry hands on paper towels are rough, but if you're doing it, you sort of, you know, if you've got a 14-hour shift and you're washing your hands, you know, 10 times every hour, you know, your hands end up sore. They need something. So don't send them chocolates, don't send them flowers. They will appreciate them, but don't. Get them some hand cream, all right? Don't just everyone go to the same hospitals. But yeah, ambulance crews, you know, your local doctors as well. I'm sure they're going through it all as well. Right. So after a few tests, they wheeled me up to a ward. I think that was on a wheelchair. They just sort of set me back down in a wheelchair. I'm puffing and panting. When I got into the ambulance, they got me on oxygen, and I was on oxygen for 2 days. Didn't need a lot. I just needed some help, and it just helped to lift your consciousness sort of level. You sort of more with it. So they took me up to the first ward. Ever such nice people up there. And again, it's more tests, more monitoring. There's not a lot they can do for the basic illness, but they're monitoring you constantly. To see if there's anything see if this virus is causing other problems with you. I know things are being worked on all the time, and this is just what's today's date? 2nd of April 2020. So this is where they're up to today. But monitoring the fact that I did have a temperature and paracetamol to pull that down. Keeping an eye on your blood gases, keeping an eye on your blood sugar levels, because I'm type 2 diabetic. They're actually pretty good when I was in there. Yeah, so that was pretty much getting settled and sorted onto the ward. Then I asked my daughter if she could pop me some clothes over while she's going over to my house to pick me some stuff up. Now, this is something that ideally you need to sort out for you now. Get your work bag, get your holiday backpack, whatever, bag for life or something. And pack yourself a few bits, right? Couple of tops, t-shirts. Not your winter warmers because the hospitals are hot. First day and a half I was there, I was just laid on top of the bedding. It was just 2 sheets anyway. I got a thin t-shirt, shorts, and boxers. That's it really. You don't need to wear a lot. She did send me in, I said 2 t-shirts and two more sets of boxers, and I got 3 of everything, including socks and some very thick warm leggings. Bag weighed a ton. Wash kit. When you are on the ward, you're not allowed off the ward. If the toilet's outside the ward door, you don't use that toilet. You pee in a pot. And you have a choice for number 2s. You can either use a bedpan or a commode. No, it's not fun. So my daughter sent, bless her, she did try. She sent me a big bottle of shampoo and big bottle of shower gel. You don't go out the ward. You don't need them. Toothbrush, toothpaste, flannel. You're probably not even going to be bothered about your hair either, to be honest. You're just so you're so far out of it. Certainly the first couple of days. I won't describe the commode. You don't need to know that, but no, not nice. Functional, has to be done. So what else would you need in a bag? Phone charger. Phone charger. If you've got a, I can't what they call them. It's like a battery pack that you can plug into your phone. One of these things. Have that charged up in your bag. Have your lead in your bag. Spare 3-pin lead, so you don't have to keep turning your phone on and off. But also, as opposed to what you might take, keep your eyes and ears open for what other people are up to. If you know someone that's going to the hospital because they're starting to suffer, get onto Facebook, get onto Messenger, get onto emails, and just let them know the fact you're there. Because we know there's people dying with this. And there's people of all ages. There's kids dying through this. So I certainly feel very lucky to have survived this. And it's one of the reasons I wanted to record this, to try and give you some hints and tips as to what you need to look out for. What are we up to? Coming home. Yeah, I found out just after midnight on Tuesday night, I think it was, that me test had come back positive. It was Corona-19, whatever it's called. And then they moved me to a single room. One thing that was quite frightening, if it all wasn't frightening, was when I heard this voice outside. Simon Clark, is he safe to touch? Yeah, it does make you twitch. Fortunately, by then I was starting feeling better. You know, not everyone would actually need to end up going into hospital. It seems some people just seem to be carriers. I know Boris, and well, I've seen him on telly a few times. Well, Boris Johnson recently has been diagnosed with it. But he just seems to have been a carrier. He doesn't seem to have been struggling at all. They seem to be like the very gentle cases. Mine, mild, I think they sort of classify it as. And anything more serious than that, and you're getting into some real sort of dodgy areas. To get you home, if you have someone that lives in the same house, they will have procedures for that. When the doctor came to tell me eventually that yes, I was clear to go home, I was no longer on the oxygen. They turned me down a little bit the day before, but I was okay. The next thing she said was, "I've just spoken to your daughter," because they want to see who you've got at home who can help and protect and whatever. Because she doesn't live in the same house. Like I say, I live on my own. You then get an ambulance home. Now, if you remember back to the first day when I went in, when it was 2 hours waiting for them to turn up, 2 hours sat outside my house, and then they got the 2 hours cleaning afterwards. So it was about 5-6 hours on, I think it's Wednesday, when before they actually turned up to pick me up. But again, they just had to clean all the ambulance from one person, and when they dropped me at home, it was back to the depot to clean out their ambulance again. That's another 2 hour cleaning session for them. So how do you feel when you come home? Crap. Just because you're over the worst, you're not going to be over it. Yesterday, I didn't get up till about lunchtime. I had some food. The weight loss has been ridiculous. I'm a big guy and I need to lose it. I do get that. But I lost a stone in a week. Just no appetite. Absolutely no appetite. You can't keep anything down. So, yeah, yesterday I was up for 4 hours. I went to bed for a nap about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Woke up at 7 o'clock and I went, nah, I'm not moving. So I think I had 2 Weetabix and a couple of bits and pieces throughout the day. That was it. That's all I had. Today, second day after being brought home. This is a week ago. I was starting to feel really, really bad, and now I'm feeling pretty good. I was hoping to record this video yesterday, but I really just wasn't up to it. Today, yeah, I'm still not 100%, but I'm getting there. So, looking out for each other, looking out for signs and symptoms. Someone who has a heat, temperature, they've got a bit of a headache, look out for that. Look out for people losing the cognitive ability a bit. I mean, obviously look at all the NHS details and whatever. This is just through my experience. If their appetite's going, it could be anything else, I do realise. But, you know, if you start getting all these things together, then it could be the COVID virus. Keep your eye on them. And you feel you need to, phone 111 and they'll walk you through what you need to do. Or if you think they need it, just phone for an ambulance. All right, they will assess you over the phone as to how how urgent you are. I think they phone me back about every half an hour to see how I was doing until eventually the ambulance did turn up. Pack a bag. If you can, get hold of any masks and surgical type gloves. I had a look this morning on Amazon, it was interesting. I can get some in a month's time. Yeah, I know. If you can manage to get hold of, if you can get hold of a box of 100, great, have the box of 100. But if you can somehow get them around the family, then fantastic. You don't need them all yourselves. Just get some passed out. So if someone does start coughing, get a mask on. Get a mask on. It might not end up being life-threatening to all of you, all your family, but if you can avoid having it, that's even better. Anyway, that'll do. A big thanks to everyone who's there, helped and supported me. A big thank to all the medical staff that helped me, but to all of them throughout the UK, they're absolutely awesome. And seriously, if you want to do something useful for them, get some good quality hand cream. All right, thanks ever so much. Goodbye.